Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hollywood After Dark. It is, of course, the 13th of December, 2022. Tonight we're going to be talking about one of the silliest cases of damage control I've seen in Hollywood. Miss Patty Jenkins responds to the controversy around her exit. I'm going to be talking about how I triggered the Wonder Woman fan base by pointing out that she committed sexual assault. And of course, Avatar, $500 million in its opening weekend. What the hell is going on? Also, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Deadpool 3 R-rated, and John Krasinski giving us a devastating update about his potentiality of returning as Reed Richards. Let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. It, of course, is another day, another night, another entry into the Hollywood After Dark saga. So welcome, HWAD Squad. As always, I really appreciate all of you guys chiming in, whether you're catching this live, catching this on the replay, or soon to be checking it out on the audio podcast, because I'm going to try to expand things a little bit, keep them a bit more tight, a bit more focused, a bit more fun, but obviously delivering the news with the biting satire that only I can provide. That's right. I am a super egoist person. That is how these things work. Also, sorry for the delay in getting it started. Literally, as soon as I went to go put on the opening music, for some reason, StreamYard crashed and burned. This, my friends, is technology in a goddamn nutshell. But there is a lot to get to tonight. So as always, Super Chats will get first priority as we dive through, but I have got a litany of things to talk about, so let's keep going. What we're going to be talking about right away is I got Patreon. Patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. Link is right there in the little sub banner, little bottom banner. You see it right there. Help join the HWAD Squad. We will be doing a watch-along party for something on Friday. Our first big one, our first real one, we're going to watch something. I don't know what that is yet. I'm going to pose it to the group, pose it to the HWAD Squad. You guys can help me choose one thing for us to watch Friday night, probably around 10 or 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll do a short show, and then we'll do a watch party, which is going to be off of YouTube. Just so you guys know, it's going to be off of YouTube, but it is going to be watchable. So it's going to be a lot of fun on that one there. Thank you very much for that. Todd, I do see the super chat, man. We'll get to that here in a hot second, buddy. Thank you so much. Also, Podio Commentary, Violent Night Review is up. I spent today and yesterday figuring out my format for the long form Podio Commentary discussion. I believe the very first one will probably be up in a couple days, and that is going to be all about either the Book of Eli or the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I've been kind of sifting through the plots of both movies, figuring out time to sit down to watch both of them so I can sit down and ruminate on my thoughts and my feelings for the movie. But man, I'm looking forward to diving in. Obviously, short form reviews are going to be coming back now that I'm not sick. I think I had that weird RS virus that went around, so definitely cover your ass. It's a terrible one to get, but we're going to be diving into more stuff because there's always a lot more things to watch. Christmas just came out. I got to give that a watch. Pinocchio. There is obviously the Avatar, The Way of Water, which is going to be Thursday night discussion here on the show. I'm going to come back, do my Podio Commentary review, and then we'll do a live discussion of it as spoiler-free as humanly possible for those of you who didn't rush out right away to go watch it, but let's be fair, a lot of us are. So that's going to be happening this week. Keep an eye on it. Be sure to check the community tab here on YouTube. Follow me on the socials for more of that. Also, I want to talk about real quick, this happened today, folks. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. They dropped the trailer. This is going to be playing in theaters before Avatar, The Way of Water, and I'm not going to lie. The trailer, I've already seen it, but I want to watch it with you guys as well. But the trailer didn't wow me as much as I think it might have wowed other people. It's not to say that it's not good, but this is not what I wanted. Was a story trailer. I already know the characters. I don't necessarily need a recap, but I get why they did it. So why don't we take a look here at this trailer so we can dive in. Yeah, I agree with Brandon here. My anticipated film of 2023. It's up there for me, guys. It's absolutely up there for me. Donovan says, I can't wait for this. Batman Superman here says this will flop. Enterprising says trailer was nostalgic. Roman numerals here says it's trash. Spherical Man. I'm still not going to spoil Avatar. And Command Unit, I see your super chat there. Thank you very much, buddy. So let's check this baby out. It's got a kind of a Matrix vibe, to be fair.
I can hear you being quiet, Mom.
I hope I didn't ice your game, man.
No one my age says those words in that order.
It's just hard to see my little man not being my little boy all the time.
Yeah.
For years, I've been taking care of this little boy. Making sure he is loved, that he feels like he belongs wherever he wants to be. He wants to go out into the world and do great big things.
Not bad, kid.
And what I worry about most
I love you, Miles.
is they won't look out for you like us.
Miles! Want to get out of here?
Wherever you go from here, you have to promise to take care of that little boy for me. Make sure he never forgets where he came from. And he never doubts that he is loved. And he never lets anyone tell him that he doesn't belong there. You gotta promise, Miles.
I promise.
Who do you think you are? Really?
We are supposed to be the good guys.
We are.
Look, that movie, it looks pretty goddamn awesome. I'm not going to lie. The thing, again, the trailer, what it didn't wow me on was the recap. I've already watched Into the Spider-Verse now. I can't even tell you how many times. I know a lot of us have watched it quite a bit since it came out in 2018. Saying that it's going to flop, I think is pulling the cart before the horse, to be honest with you. Let me explain why. The first movie went up against immeasurable odds in regards to the box office. We've talked about this multiple times. It opened up in the winter, December 2018, up against Aquaman, Bumblebee, Mary Poppins. There was a lot going on at the time, and it was simply just too freaking much for this movie to contend with at the time. But it did find a home on home video. It found a home on streaming. It won Best Animated Picture at the Oscars, beating out a fucking Pixar movie, curb stomping The House of Mouse. We know this. So this movie is anticipated as all hell. This movie is absolutely going to be something that a lot of people are going to run to, especially following the success of No Way Home. Now, to get to that point where it pulls in a cool bill, which I know is a lot of people going to be talking about, Tom Holland or Toby or Andrew have got to be in this movie. And I'm pretty sure they are either in part 1 or part 2, but they've got to be in the trailer. At one point in time, they've got to have a reference to them. Now, I will say one of the cool things that I really dug about this was the fact that we did get to see the PS4 Peter Parker and PS5 Miles Morales popping up in the trailer. That was pretty cool. I think there was Ultimate Spider-Man was in the background as well as one of those shots, and a few other ones. I'm waiting for Spider-Pig to come back. Give me some John Mulaney. Bring back Noir Spider-Man. Bring back the gang from the first movie. I obviously want to see that. I don't know what the plot of this movie is necessarily going to be just yet, but it's one that has my attention. It's also going to be part 1 of part 2. They're doing a dual film. They're giving you more and more and more to dive into. They're pre-planning for this to be a success. So to sit there and go, this is just going to flop because Grace Randolph said that. Grace Randolph, always likes to say things that are kind of stupid like this.
Ow!
That will never not be funny. I always love to torture you guys with it. You all know that I like to do that, but it's true. Grace Randolph does not have a magic talisman. She cannot predict the future. She rarely ever leaves her apartment. She's as close to the female equivalent of a Howard Hughes film critic as there could ever be. And we talked about one of those guys last night here on the show. Anyway, we know that these film critics do not have their fingers, their hands anywhere near the pulse of where anyone actually is who watches these movies, because they sit atop their ivory tower. They sit atop their little thrones, and they rely on their numbers and their access to maintain their relevance, but they don't have their finger on the pulse or the prostate of where the movie-going audience is. But let us keep on moving. Sorry, everybody, for dropping that particular drop. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Zachary, don't make me do it. Don't make me do it, Zachary. You're a channel member, Zachary. If you want me to do it, we'll do it. We'll drop it. But in the meantime, we need to have a very, very, very interesting conversation. And that, of course, is all about Patty Jenkins, who has had herself a very, very interesting time here. Donovan pulling out the Patty equal damage control very, very, very much. And you know what, though? You know what? This does kind of call for a bit of a drop. You guys are going to hate, too.
Well, what do you know?
And I do think it applies to this particular situation, because here is Patty coming out and outright trying to make some arguments here that are very interesting. So here's what we know. So last week, the shocking news came that Wonder Woman 3 was simply no longer moving forward, as it was considered dead in its current incarnation. This was being reported across the board. Shortly thereafter, it was reported that Patty Jenkins actually ended up walking away from the third film due to creative differences. Now she's coming out and she's like, that's not true. So she wanted to clarify her involvement with this movie, as well as giving us a little bit of an update on Rogue Squadron. So I'm going to read to you guys this letter, and I'll pause when I feel it's necessary to interject my own opinion. So she says here, sigh. I'm not one to talk about private career matters, but I will not allow inaccuracies to continue. Here are the facts. Just quick aside. The facts is she went to Jeff Johns to co-wrote Wonder Woman 84. Wonder Woman 84, very bad movie, very bad script. It's a sexual assault in the movie. We're going to talk more about that here in a few. And then she still decided that after that movie failed to perform. How about that, right? It didn't live up to snuff. It didn't do its deed, if you think about it. She then went back to Jeff Johns to craft another screenplay. This is probably one of the issues that a lot of people are going to be talking about, because, again, it's like her decisions have just simply not been very good. Todd here, dude, no, Wonder Woman 84 was not better than BVS. That is, no. Love you, buddy, but no. Batman Superman here, she's not doing the Cleopatra film. Kari Skogland, who did Falcon and Winter Soldier, is doing the Cleopatra film. Come on, man, pay attention. You gotta keep up on this stuff here. So she goes on to say, I originally left Rogue Squadron after a long and productive development process when it became clear it couldn't happen soon enough, and I did not want to delay Wonder Woman 3 any further. When I did, Lucasfilm asked me to consider coming back to Rogue Squadron after Wonder Woman 3, which I was honored to do, so I agree. They made a new deal with me. In fact, I am still on that, and that project has been in active development ever since. I don't know if it will happen or not. We never do until the development process is complete, but I look forward to its potential ahead. So the movie that was announced 2 years ago, that there's been no movement on, that was pulled from the slate a while back, is apparently still in active development. They need a Star Wars movie for 2023. If she wasn't going to be working on freaking Wonder Woman 3, and that had kind of come to a standstill, then what the hell is going on here? It's crazy, folks. It's absolutely crazy. But she continues. When there started being backlash about Wonder Woman 3 not happening, the attractive clickbait false story that it was me that killed it or walked away started to spread. That is simply not true. I never walked away. I was open to considering anything asked of me. It was my understanding that there was nothing I could do to move anything forward at this time. DC is obviously buried in changes they are having to make, so I understand these decisions are difficult right now. Well, yeah, they're in the process. They're absolutely in the process of trying to get everything finished up and reconfigured for this new studio, this new system that they've put together. But I find it to be kind of funny that she's like, she's not really saying that she's not really saying she didn't walk away because of creative differences. It's just like they didn't want to go forward with it is what she's trying to say. And I mean, that's probably more accurate than not, to be honest with you. Now, she says here, I do not want what has been a beautiful journey with Wonder Woman to land on a negative note. Really? Did she watch Wonder Woman 84? Holy shit. I have loved and have been so honored to be the person who got to make these last two Wonder Woman films. She is an incredible character. Living in and around her values makes one a better person every day until she rapes a guy. But that's my own thoughts. I wish her and her legacy an amazing future ahead with or without me. Walking side by side with Linda Carter, an absolute legend and beacon of goodness and light, has been a thrill. I have learned so much from her and will cherish her as a friend and mentor always. My crew has been like family and fought every day to give the world the best films they could. Again, did she watch her own movie? Like, did she watch her own movie? She tossed the first movie under the bus when it came to criticisms of the final act, right? She's like, oh, that was a studio interference thing, which, makes sense because it's Warner's under the old regimes. And yeah, there's lots of problems there. But she had full control over Wonder Woman 84, and yet still is all like not acknowledging just how bad that movie was, which at this point is really all anybody wants. They're like, look, Patty, you want to move forward. You want to make another movie. You want to do this, by all means, we support you. But all we want is for you just to look back and go, yeah, I may have overcompensated for that one. I may have absolutely overcompensated for that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's all anyone out there really wants. That's really about it. But it's absolutely, it's terrible. It's goddamn terrible. Anyway, so sorry, she says here, and Gal Gadot. Where do I even begin? Gal is the greatest gift I've received this whole journey, a cherished friend, inspiration, and sister. There are no words I can use to convey how magical she is. She is the walking embodiment of Wonder Woman in real life and a better person than the world can imagine. Never once in the millions of moments I have spent with her did I see anything less. She is a gift to this world, and even more so to me, which I love Gal. So I have no issue with that whatsoever. But Gal coming out last week before this news broke and saying like that cryptic ass tweet, that was one of those things where you're like, guys, come on, pay attention here. She's vying for her job because reboot conversations clearly are happening now. They're popping up more and more frequently in the trades. We know this. If you read this stuff, you see those little lines pop up. So Gal is fighting for her job, her legacy, her third film. And Patty, well, there's no place for Patty. You know what? And that's just kind of where it's at. Now, she says here, thank you all. Oh, she says, well, lastly, but most importantly, thank you to the incredible Wonder Woman fans and for all of your love and support. Wonder Woman fans are often not the most visible in the media and online, but I want you to know that we have always seen and celebrated you and your importance. You were first and foremost in our minds every day when we made the last two films. You are the best and most loving people, and I look forward to always celebrating you. Thank you all for this wonderful journey. Keep up the Wonder Woman spirit. Any day that you face struggles, try asking, what would Wonder Woman do? I hope her beacon of love, truth, and justice is always there to lead the way for you as she has done for me. And look, that's not a bad response. Okay. That's not a bad response. It's not a bad response. It's like, it's not a terrible response. It's not a terrible thing. It's saving face. It's damage control. We know that, you know what I mean? Like we know that. And of course, like, look, James Gunn, he came out, he responded, he says, I can attest that, that all of Peter and my interactions with you were only pleasant and professional. So it's a very diplomatic response. So I think there's a lot that can be inferred from that, all things considered. Because it's just like, I can say that every time we've talked, it's just been pleasant and professional. That doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean that they had creative differences and that the project ended up getting, pulled to the side, that the project ended up getting killed. Like, I mean, obviously, that's one of those scenarios where we have to think about that. Like the reboot conversation seems more and more and more prevalent. Like there were talks about the meeting with Zaslav or somebody this week in order to kind of like pitch their initial thoughts. But the original report said that and I think even James Gunn said himself that he wasn't going to meet with everybody or present their actual plan until the middle of January. They're going to, put the final touches on it during the last part of the year. You reconvene in the beginning parts of the year, make sure everything is good, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, things along those lines, and then present it. But right now, they're probably going to be ending up trying to present something, their general idea, to Zaslav and maybe the other heads of the studios, just to keep them in the know for what's going on. So obviously, at this particular point, there's really like nothing about this that seems sinister, but it doesn't take away or discredit or really debunk the other stuff there. It really doesn't. I'm sorry. I know people out there saying Patty Jenkins debunked everything. She didn't. She just said like that they're just going another direction. That doesn't mean that they parted ways mutually. It just means that they're going another direction. And it does come across very much as diplomatic, and they're not going to throw under the bus because that's a stupid thing to do. So maybe, speaking of stupid things to do, maybe this is where I decided to get a little bit uppity, to get a little cheeky, to get a little spicy, because right underneath Patty Jenkins' comment, I posted this. I said, with all due respect, do you think that their unwillingness to move forward has anything to do with the fact that the last movie failed to connect with audiences and Diana essentially committed sexual assault? Now, I have said this from the get-go. I have said this from December 25th, 2020. Wonder Woman raped a guy. I feel like I just need to say it again, that Wonder Woman fucking raped a guy. This is not something that is out. It's not. She did. Wonder Woman 100% raped that dude. Now, and I want to talk about why she raped that guy, right? It's not a good thing, but like there's a lot of people that are out there trying to run speculation and they're like, oh, it's just the Dreamstone did it. No, she did it. She did it. At the end of that movie, she would have known something was up, but we as the audience absolutely know that she committed sexual assault on the guy. So here's the thing. What we need to talk about is the Dreamstone. That, of course, was the whole thing with Wonder Woman 84, the manufactured Dreamstone that was essentially like a monkey's paw, which is a great parable for be careful for what you wish for. You never know if you're going to get it, that sort of thing. But according to the DC Wiki, this is what the Dreamstone is described as. Imbued with the power of the god of lies, the stone is able to grant any wish made in its presence as long as the wisher hasn't already had a wish granted. The limits of the wish are unknown, but such wishes have been fulfilled as moving a person from one place to another instantaneously, reviving someone from the dead, granting the powers of the gods to a mortal, and erecting an enormous wall around ancestral lands. As a drawback, however, all the wishes of the stone grants comes at a tremendous cost, either at the loss of strength, humanity, and even somebody else's life. So when you think about it from that perspective, again, the whole monkey's paw approach, well, what about Steve Trevor's return? Because he did take over the body of a living, breathing man who lived and worked and operated in Washington, D.C. This guy was a person. We don't know anything about him. He's only listed in the credits as handsome man, as a way to further devalue the idea that men can be victims of sexual assault. And if, look, you think that's a hyperbolic statement, I've been dealing with people on Twitter all night that are trying to argue with me that apparently, it's not sexual assault. Because in their mind, they think men can't be victims of sexual assault. And I say, hey, are you fans of Brendan Fraser? If I look on your Twitter profile, am I going to see you saying yes, queen, to him coming back? Are you going to, wondering what happened? Oh, right. The head, the former head or the current head, I'm not too sure. Someone involved with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association sexually assaulted Brendan Fraser and he sat on it for 15 years. Right. But no, men can't be victims. That's a lot of the takeaway of this. It's a weird concept for so many dudes out there. It's such a weird thing to talk about how men can be victims of a power imbalance in regards to sex. I'm sorry. It's such a weird it's one of the things I really hate about the society. And Music Man here says, I hate that argument that men can't be victims. Yeah, I know. Right. It's crazy. HWAD here says Wonder Woman is a rapist. She kind of is. So let's talk more about that here. Okay. So Steve Trevor's return is what I really want to focus on. So in Wonder Woman 1984, she brings Steve back from the dead about 45 minutes into the movie. Now, just one day before he actually returns, she's holding the Dreamstone And while she's helping Barbara examine it, she then grips it tight and she makes a silent wish after reading the Dreamstone's inscription. Kind of like a wishing well sort of thing. Like, hey, it probably won't work, but why the F not? With the implication that, again, she's thinking of Steve as she's doing this. Then at the next night, they're at the Smithsonian members gala. And as she's standing in a room, the camera swirls around, it pans around. We see a man standing there looking at her wearing a jumpsuit. The camera spins around once again. As the man tries talking to Diana, he approaches her. She tries to brush him off because she gets hit on all the time because it's Gal Gadot and she's hot as hell. She gets hit on all the time. She brushes the man off. And then the man, again, as I say, is literally just credited as handsome man, repeats to her the line Steve said to her right before he died 65 years prior. And then from there, she believes that is Steve. She believes that is Steve Trevor. So in that moment, she only sees Steve Trevor. The rest of us see Steve Trevor because she is that person, because that, she's the point of view of the movie. So that's what we're going to see. And then of course we find out that that's not him, because after that, they end up going back to the guy's house. All right. And because again, Steve's physical body, see, here's the thing. Steve's physical body is gone. It got evaporated when that plane blew up 65 years prior. But the soul is what the Dreamstone pulled out of the afterlife and placed in the body of the handsome man. And again, the implications of his return are pretty messy. And, I hate to use the term problematic, but yeah, it's pretty fucking problematic. Remember, his soul has possessed the body of a random Washington, D.C. citizen. This guy who's an engineer, very fashionable. He's a bachelor that sleeps on a futon in an apartment in the 1980s. There's an entire montage where they're trying on this guy's clothes that somehow managed to fit Steve Trevor perfectly. Oh, right, because they are tailored for the handsome man. But Diana only sees Steve Trevor. Never mind the fact that as they go to this guy's apartment, there's photos of him everywhere. And at no point did the ethical consideration happen. Did the ethical conversation happen about, wait, where the fuck is this guy? Like, you're in his house, you're wearing his clothes, you're clearly inhabiting his body. So where is this guy? Where did he go? He wasn't able to consent. Roman numerals here is correct. It's just lazy writing. All right. It's very, very, very lazy writing. And that's kind of the whole thing. It's very much like, here's the thing. Reality Shifter is trying to argue that no, she didn't. In her mind, she didn't, but in reality, she did. Because in her mind, to quote Command Unit here in his $2 super chat, thank you, buddy, says Wonder Woman literally cuckolded him. I mean, she kind of did. But in her mind, she sees Steve Trevor. His soul is in that man's body, but the body did not consent. The man did not consent. The man was simply removed and yeeted from his own existence in order to make way for her to smash pelvises, to bump uglies. This is the kind of thing. Oh my God, dude, they totally had sex. Are you fucking kidding me? They fucked in the first movie. They fucked again in the sequel. Dude, come on. Look, you are taking a goalpost. You are taking a goalpost and you are moving it, not even like just across the state. You're moving it across like the entire world. You're just kicking it into orbit. It's currently making its way around the sun. That is how far you move the goalpost. You are very much trying to argue something that simply didn't happen here. That's all I'm saying is, right? Like, we know that this guy did not provide consent. And then at the end, when she rescinds her wish, Steve Trevor's soul leaves the man's body. Now the man wakes up. The world has gone to shit. He doesn't know how he got there. If anything, he's been implicated in the theft of a jet from the Smithsonian. He has been implicated. I don't know how I'm screwing those words up. Implicated in the storming of the White House. All right. Like, he's been implicated in a lot of things that can almost be seen as high treason to an extent. It doesn't matter what the overall motivation is. Everyone else out there saw this guy. That's the thing. Barrel Bob here says, what if the random guy's soul was watching them from the wish zone and unable to comply? Now, listen, There's a lot of people out there. I saw a lot of comments when this happened. A lot of people talking about this and saying things like, well, I mean, the guy clearly would consent. Right? The guy would clearly not turn her down. Would you turn her down? Would you kick Gal Gadot out of your bed? Would you turn away Wonder Woman if she was naked and sauntering up next to you, trying to embrace you with her body, suckle on you with her lips? I mean, would you turn her down? Most of us would. No, probably we're not. We're men. We'd be like, right? We would just immediately, all blood would rush to one spot. That doesn't matter. When we have the conversation about victims of sexual assault, this is not something that matters. All right. That's the thing. It's not unless the guy took over was gay. That might play a part in it, but it could also be that this guy might have had a girlfriend. He comes across as a bachelor, but he might have had a girlfriend. He might have had something. All right. Again, Ryan here. Exactly. Imagine if the roles were reversed on the gender. If the roles were reversed on the gender, we would, there wouldn't even be a conversation. It would be an outright war. It would be a rebellion of DC fans on Twitter. It's absolutely bullshit that people are trying to argue that he was not sexually assaulted. He 100% was. We saw it happen, folks. We saw it happen. And again, all I'm saying is just acknowledge. All right. Like, acknowledge that it happened and recognize that it was bad writing. I think that's okay to do. Garrick here with a $10 super chat, buddy. Thank you so much, Garrick. Saying, when I saw Wonder Woman in 2017, a guy who sat behind me leaned over to his buddy during the Wonder Woman Steve Trevor sex scene and whispered, "I would be scared to fuck her." I mean, like, you know what, man? I get it. All right. I get it. Garrick, I totally fundamentally understand that particular argument right there. I would be also scared to have sex. She can jump really high. She's got the strength. Just imagine how strong her Kegels are. Cause that was like the first time she had sex. What if she just orgasms and it just breaks his dick clean off? That kind of shit could happen. But then again, these are fictional characters. This is what it is. But anyway, man, thank you. But at the end of the day, the argument I'm trying to make here, all things considered, is that it was sexual assault. And I think people just need to acknowledge that. And I think it was kind of funny to kind of tick him off a little bit, to be fair. But that does lead us obviously to the question about whether or not we are going to see Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, because she is basically now saying that that it's kind of back in development. But whether or not it happens, we do not know. Now, if you remember, this movie was officially announced in December 2020, right before the release of Wonder Woman 1984, which we've talked about this before, and I want to stand by this. When we talk about Kathleen Kennedy and the things that Kathleen Kennedy has done, she always seems to do this. She'll take a high-profile creative, and she will give them a Star Wars movie right before they have a major property come out. And in the case of Dan and Dave, it didn't work out well with Game of Thrones Season 8. With Rian Johnson, it didn't happen with The Last Jedi because that movie sucks donkey cock. And then with Patty Jenkins, it didn't happen with Wonder Woman 84, which is why there is this massive collective shouting from Star Wars fans to Kathleen Kennedy, please, for the love of God, shut up. Just shh. Put out the product. And then let us watch the product. But don't hype us on something that's probably gonna happen on this one here. So again, like we know at this point that Rogue Squadron has been taken off of the theatrical calendar. We know that they said that it had a lot to do with Wonder Woman 3 and the fact that that was greenlit by Warner Brothers through Toby Emmerich, who's no longer at the company. And apparently those are all now up in the air. They're all up in flux. Patty Jenkins, for lack of a better term, is kind of unemployed. And I agree with Batman Superman here. It says 2 years later and still no news about Rogue Squadron. That's kind of, cause I think the joke on that one is like, she's waiting for Chris Pine to be available to resurrect Steve Trevor into that movie as well. You know, yeah, Garrick here says Josh Trank was also going to do a Star Wars movie and then Fan Forstic happened 100%. Tony asking, do I think that the Rian Johnson trilogy will still happen? Nope, because he's contracted to do Knives Out 3 for Netflix. And that's going to be and he's got a show that he's doing, and that's going to be where he's at for a while. And by the time that they would even get around to working on the trilogy over at Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy's probably not going to be around. You know what I mean? It's probably not going to be around. Roman here says she exploits the shit out of them. They're like a pet. I mean, I don't want to say it like that. I get what you're trying to say, but yeah, and it's kind of crazy on that one. I'll fully admit that. But all right, here, folks, let's move on to the next topic because I want to talk about what everyone else there is talking about. Oh, real quick here. Well, here we go. Will Taika Waititi Star Wars movie happen? I mean, Taika Waititi, all things considered, even though Thor: Love and Thunder was not 100% loved by everybody, it did do well financially. And, you know, so it's like it has that saving grace. So I think it might be okay. I think it would be okay. But anyway, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the movie we're all going to watch this week. And you know, you might sit there and say you're not going to watch it, Spherical Man, but you're totally going to watch it. Avatar, The Way of Water, which is currently, and I forgot to grab the graphic for this, which is currently sitting at 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, if you happen to give a shit about that particular type of stuff. But anyway, what we're looking at here is that Avatar is looking at potentially pulling in $525 million globally. This is what Deadline is reporting. They say here that the film is currently on track for a worldwide opening weekend haul of $525 million, thanks to being Disney's widest global release ever across. And this is what Deadline is reporting. This is not what the tweet says. 52,000 screens. 52,000 screens is what this is currently on track to go for. Now, of that, 175 million is expected to come from North America, with double that amount coming in from different international territories. Right now, it's expected that 100 million is set to come from China. Now, what I don't know about that particular metric is if that 100 million is what exactly it's going to be. If I don't know if that is going to be particularly what Disney takes home, because they take, you know, there's reports upwards of over 200 million out of Disney, out of China alone, like, you know, having that, right? Having all of that particular stuff. China alone is going to have so much money coming out of it. So I don't know if that's going to do it or not. Obviously, it's going to be something that's going to be kind of crazy. Now, these are also just to point out, these are just early projections, right? Now, remember that the first week projections for Spider-Man No Way Home last year were around the $350 million worldwide mark. And the movie overperformed with $600 million during its debut. $600 million. And that's without China, folks. That's without China. It didn't go to China at all. It just stayed outside of the Middle Kingdom and pulled in 1.9 billion. At this point, obviously, if you include in-home video releases and digital sales, it's well over 2. Sony's happy with that. But yeah, like, I think that there's a lot of hype for Spider-Man. There's hype for Avatar. You may not be seeing it everywhere. You may not see it in online jaded film Twitter circles, but it's there, dude. 52,000 screens worldwide. That is 100% crazy. Ryan here is saying there's going to be so much blue in the near future. Oh, dude, 100%. 100%. Batman Superman here says Avatar 2 is a perfect way to end the year. I'm going to be happy with that one. You know, I don't know if it's going to outperform Top Gun Maverick, at least here domestically. I think it might, but I mean, Top Gun Maverick had a long run of these things. Now, one of the things you got to remember here when it comes to Avatar as well is the fact that James Cameron is kind of downplaying this movie, right? He's kind of downplaying this movie at this point. One of the things he is doing is he is saying that if this movie fails to connect, if this movie fails to pull in some serious cash, which we have no fucking idea if that's going to happen or not. We have no idea what's going to go on with that. Rational, if you sent me a super chat, buddy, I'm not seeing it on here unless it's really, really far back. I'm looking real quick. But Cameron has been talking about, you know, the future of the franchise. We know that he's got the scripts written for Avatar 2 through 5. That's a lot of Avatar. Whether or not we want all that, we don't know yet, right? But he does say here, so he said, this is going back to the start of last month, by the way. This is the snippet that I pulled. He said here that Avatar might end after 3 films, depending on the box office results, but he's already touting his planned 4th installment as the most nuts of them all. Speaking to Collider about the movie, Cameron revealed that Avatar 4's script was the first Avatar movie, sequel, I should say, to not receive a single note from studio executives. And these are fucking Disney people, man. These are Disney people under Bob Chapek. Those guys are going to be, trying to make sure that they can cost cut every single thing that they can. Now, he says this: I can't tell you the details, but all I can say is that when I turned in the script for The Way of Water, the studio gave me 3 pages of notes. And when I turned in the script for 3, they gave me a page of notes. So it was getting better. When I turned in the script for 4, the studio executive, the creative executives over the films, wrote me an email that said, "Holy fuck." And I said, "Well, where are the notes?" And she said, "Those are the notes," because it kind of goes nuts in a good way, right? So, I mean, and he's already mentioned that Avatar 5, kind of a quick spoiler alert here. He's saying that Avatar 5 is supposedly going to take place on Earth, that Neytiri is going to find her way to Earth. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be really, really fascinating to see how that plays out, because it also goes on to say here that Cameron wrote and finalized the scripts for all 4 planned Avatar sequels before even going into production on Way of Water. He told Collider that his model was similar to what Peter Jackson did with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, saying it was a crazy bet at the time because Jackson had all 3 Rings movies scripted and shot at once. And that really is a feat. If you know anything about the making of the Lord of the Rings movies, the way they did that shit was pretty fucking insane. So there's that. Now, here's a question that I've seen people ask. I just want to answer this real quick. Couple quick super chats to get to. And I think one of the things is people talking about the possibility of a post-credit scene for Avatar 2, because Avatar 3 has been filmed. You think that they would have some kind of post-credit scene teasing the next movie. Well, according to Collider, at this point, there is no Avatar post-credit scene in the movie this week. So once those credits start to roll, once you start to hear whatever song is there and you're blown away by 3 hours and 10 minutes, not including previews of all the crazy shit that's going to be happening, you will definitely race to the bathroom, but you will have that particular moment in time to where that is going to be, that's going to be where things are at. So there's that. But just to get you guys caught up on the subject related super chats. All right. The subject related super chats. Because if you guys super chat stuff that's not related to the topic I'm on, I'm going to hold it for a little bit just because I want to keep the ebb and flow going. So thank you for that. Rational here for 5. Thanks, buddy. And this happened a while ago. We sent this about 40 minutes back. Does anyone here go to the Avatar Way of Water IMAX fan first event today? I didn't, because I didn't fucking know about it. But then again, Avatar, or I should say IMAX, has they don't market like they used to. Back in 2017, they were rolling pretty hard with the marketing, but lately not so much. I've been a little bit concerned about that, honestly. But if anyone did, let me know, please. People have already started seeing the movie, so spoilers abound. You guys got to make it through one more day, really, 1.5 more days. That's going to be tough. Tomorrow's going to be very tough. And Garrick here for $5. Thank you, buddy. Says, if James Cameron were to direct a video game movie, would you pick Metroid, Deus Ex, Horizon, BioShock, Mass Effect, Dead Space, etc.? I would be torn. Not BioShock. I don't think he could do BioShock, and maybe even Mass Effect might be a little bit too much for him. Dead Space could work. Metroid could definitely work because he does tend to lean heavier on female badass heroine lead characters. But I think Horizon would be the best course of action, because Horizon has the most vibrant looking open world that you can find in a game in a game right now, in my opinion. So, and it would just be like, everything would just be a massive visual feat. BioShock could be good. He would definitely do well with everything, but I think that Horizon would be really good. But I would love to see him tackle like Deus Ex. But I mean, actually, you know what? I take that back. I think the one person I want to see tackle Deus Ex would be like Tony Gilroy, just for like the intrigue that comes out of Deus Ex. But then again, the cybernetic element of it would also very much tie into Cameron. However, that also is another reason why it would work well for Horizon, just because of the dinosaurs. That is obviously where we find ourselves there. Also, Saggy here dropping the hot comment there. Hit the like button, you lurkers. So thank you guys so much. We do have over 100 people watching right now, 116 people, only 26 likes. We can get there, folks. We can definitely make ourselves a little more well known as we move on to the next subject here, because here's one that a lot of you guys aren't really going to care for. And this, of course, is John Krasinski is coming out, and he's basically telling us what we already know. He's basically telling us what we already know, and that is that he's not coming back as Reed Richards. And I know that was a big thing with Doc Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and a lot of people really liked it, and a lot of people wanted to see him come back to have a fair shake at actually playing Mr. Fantastic, playing that character. But no, didn't do it. So it says here that during the press day for Jack Ryan season 3, Krasinski was asked if there was any discussions about coming back into playing Reed Richards. And he said that there weren't, but he added that it was a joy to shoot the cameo in the first place, saying here, there aren't any discussions at all. The only discussion I had was actually in the second to last week of Jack Ryan. Kevin Feige called and said, hey, would you ever fly to LA and play in our sandbox for a day? I was honored to do it. I flew right from Budapest when we wrapped and went right to the Doctor Strange set. I'm a big fan of all those characters in that world, so to get to play in that sandbox for a day was a real thrill. He goes on to say that it was totally insane to be in a room with all those people and again to be a part of that narrative. It's crazy. But yeah, being turned into spaghetti wasn't my end goal in life as far as how it goes in the Marvel Universe, but it was fun nonetheless. And I mean, he's been downplaying it. A lot of people have been very much trying to come out and, they want more. They definitely want more in regards to Reed Richards. And we're going to get more Reed Richards. But as for John Krasinski, I'm okay with it being a one and done. Maybe it was just the portrayal of him as Reed Richards I thought was a little bit, they were all arrogant. And I know that was the whole point of the Illuminati. They were arrogant, and the arrogance is what led to their downfall and their demise 100%. But I feel that now that we've seen it, I feel that now that it's out there, we can get a fresh take. I feel like we can get a fresh idea with this. And so the reason why I don't think that Krasinski will be back in is because they do have one more season of Jack Ryan that they are filming. He is directing, I think, a movie right now as well. He's directing one with Ryan Reynolds right now. He's got other things on the horizon. There's more to do with the Quiet Place franchise, where he's, definitely producing that. And then we also know here that Matt Shakeman is on board to direct the Fantastic Four reboot. And obviously at this particular point, Marvel wants him involved with who is going to be the Marvel's first family, who is going to take over, who's going to be in those roles. And so having that director on board and setting the tone with the casting is going to be something that is going to have to happen. And it may or may not be John Krasinski as Reed Richards, but I do very much feel that at this point, this is where we're going to see it. By the way, THB, man, I do see, thank you, Peter Rapis Defender. I do see that super chat. I'm going to get to that here as soon as I'm done. I got one more topic to cover tonight, and that, of course, is Sean Levy on Deadpool 3, dropping that confirmation it's going to be rated R, folks. Now, listen, they keep telling us this. They've been telling us this now since like 2017, when it was announced that Disney was going to be buying Fox, and everyone was like, what the hell is going on? What are you doing? Are you going to be able to give us an R-rated Deadpool? Now that Bob Iger is back, people have been getting a little bit concerned because Bob Iger is kind of, I don't want to say averse to potty language, but he understands the demographic that ends up paying the bills and making sure that his share prices are pretty decently high. But what we're seeing here is a situation where Sean Levy is now coming out and confirming what we all want to be true, because if it's not true, listen, motherfucker, people are going to fucking riot. Okay. Let's be fair. One's in the chat if you're going to riot, if it's PG-13 or if it's watered down. We don't want our stabby Mr. Merc with the mouth to fucking be, to have to calm his shit down. Nobody wants that. If they do it, they're stupid. But anyway, so Sean Levy has confirmed that Ryan Reynolds' Merc with the Mouth will remain foul and violent in the Marvel Cinematic Universe during an interview. He says here that we are writing, rewriting, developing, prepping Deadpool every day now. It is such a blast to laugh every day. It is so delicious to hear and write, and come up with these scenes where people are just talking foul and the violence is in your face and hardcore. It's very much a Deadpool movie, and it has Logan in it. It has Wolverine in it. It's too fun. I'm having so much fun, and I haven't even hit the shooting floor yet. I have to say, developing a Deadpool movie is one of the most fun, creative experiences of my life, because it's not just that it's rated R, it's that it's so filled with self-awareness. And that makes in writing very, very fun in a way that is unique to the franchise. Now, another reason why Levy is pushing for this, another reason why Levy is excited to dive down this particular path is because he's neutered himself before. He's kind of cucked himself before. The reason why is back in a movie, he did a movie a long time ago with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson called The Internship, where two older boomer type guys get an internship at Google. And it was supposedly going to be rated R, but they had to neuter it down to PG-13. And this is what Levy says about this. He says, one of the few regrets in my career is that I got strong-armed into recutting The Internship from an R to a PG-13. I still regret it because the R-rated version of Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson in The Internship was way better. And the me of today would not have succumbed like that to the me of 12 years ago. So what you got to remember is like this guy ended up getting, kind of strong-armed by the studio or by executives or whomever to trim The Internship down from an R rating to a PG-13, when back in 2005, Wedding Crashers with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, R-rated summer comedy, was fucking huge. It was absolutely massive. It was crazy how good that movie was. And I actually never saw The Internship because it was PG-13 and it was watered down. And that wasn't something that I wanted to dive into. I just wasn't feeling it at the time. So this is one of those times where I just sit there and think, look, man, this is where creative executives, they get cold feet over ratings, need to just, they just need to like unlight the fuse on their tampon. All right. Take a fucking chill pill, pop a Midol, chill about your business, smoke a J, maybe get a handy, whatever, dude, and calm the fuck down, because the audiences clearly like adult humor, and the audiences are going to be super mad if Deadpool 3 does not have all sorts of fucking potty mouth. And that's basically just what I got to say about that. So, all right, that is very, very, very much about what I got for the subjects. Not bad for 53 minutes. Not bad for under an hour going through those subjects. You guys have been great in the comments tonight as well. But now is the time to get into the super chats that did not happen while we were talking about the subjects. It's because now's the fun part. Todd Fair, right off the bat, dude, 20 bones. This was the first one. Thank you, Todd, so much. Great supporter of the channel, man, and the show. Thank you. Asking here, Jarbo, when you were younger, in your single days, did you consider yourself a strip club connoisseur? There was a time, Todd. There was a time. That time was a long time ago. So when I worked at the drive-in, one of the guys that frequented the drive-in was a strip club manager by the name of Mike. Actually, we called him Big Mike. He's still a friend of mine all these years later. Great guy. And, we would let him in for free, and he would let us in for free at the strip club. Over time, it just kind of became the standard thing. We would just like, hey, we're going to go down to the club. Like, it was Little Darlings is where he worked in San Diego. It was a strip club underneath an overpass, closest one to the theater. So we'd get off work, we'd go down there, we'd hang out for a bit, and everything else. And then as he worked at other clubs, because they were all owned by hustlers, he would make his way around. I'd kind of like hang out some places. When I ran for governor, after I did the governor thing, Mike, brought me in on a couple different occasions to act as a celebrity judge for Miss Spring Break contests or whatever. They're like, we need to get a local celebrity, the rock governor himself, Matt Jarbo, coming on down tonight. So I'd sit there and I would like judge these like strip club competitions because I was a local celebrity. That's how it worked out. I didn't get paid or nothing, but I got in for free. I was hanging out with friends all night and shit, and so, yeah, I knew the good clubs to go to. I knew the clubs that like had the most restrictive laws for lap dances. And I knew the clubs that were in areas where the laws were a little bit more lax. And I also knew the clubs that were tentatively kind of run by the mob. And as a result of that, They were way more lax. But yeah, I would probably argue myself as maybe a bit of that one there. Thank you for that one there. Gayley here says, drop the link, dork. Drop the link for what? I have no freaking idea, but thanks for the $2. Also says here, Wonder Woman 84 greater than BVS. They both suck. You have bad takes. You just have bad takes. And then he says here, but you missed my super chats. I didn't. They just didn't pop up at a time when I wanted to talk about them. I told you, like, I'm going through the subject matter tonight, guys. I can't. I got to keep the streams full of news, full of fun, but also very much to the point. Thank you for that. H Barts with 2 bones. Thank you. Says, saw you in Max's chat. You guys good. I was watching as I was out doing deliveries tonight. It popped up in my recommended. I was like, all right, I'll tune in. And immediately regretted my actions. It's just, you know, some of the, again, just Max needs a producer. And also the fact that he overslept his own stream by like an hour, I thought was pretty funny. And I was getting messages about that on Twitter. So no, but you know, he's kind of afraid to mention me by name, even though people were mentioning me in the chat and on the panel. But that's okay there. Thank you very much for that one there. And then Peter Abbas Defender here for 400 THB. I don't know which currency that is, but it's a $20 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Says, hey Matt, I would like to thanks for calling out the BS that Eric Weber kept trying to be lately. He is a professional a-hole, and he's now attacking anyone who loves anything everywhere all at once. Fableman's Avatar 2 and Babylon. He's Armand White of 2020s. Yeah, I put out that clip last night, Ashley. The clip that I showed in the stream, I did put it out. I did put it up on Twitter, and I tagged Eric Davis, and I tagged Eric Weber. And Eric Davis saw it because Drew McWeeny, who follows me, we follow each other, he had commented on it, and a few other people commented on it. And they were just like, this fuck this Eric Weber guy. All right. But like, look, the reason why I called it out is because that dude's particular behavior is just shitty. It's just shitty. He's just a fucking douchebag is what he is. You know what I'm saying? So, very much is just kind of, is just ridiculous, right? It's just like fucking, God, I hate that shit. Like, I do need to see everything everywhere all at once. I need to see Fableman's, you know, and I do need to talk about those movies because I do want to watch them. But I feel it's like, look, I the way I view it is, and you guys know me well enough to know at this particular point, that I like to go into every movie wanting to like it. Even if I don't like it, I want to go into a movie wanting to like it. I might be a bit like, you know, a bit cheeky in regards to Black Adam, but I have said on multiple occasions, go check it out. I have said what I enjoy about the movie. I've said what I don't enjoy about the movie. The same thing with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. There's things I really enjoyed about the movie. There's things I didn't enjoy about the movie. And I just don't have much of a desire to go back and watch either of them again because I just don't feel that either one is going to stand the test of time as being like a good comic book movie, let alone, Wakanda Forever, I think is going to do okay as being like a very emotional gut punch movie, but just, I mean, continuing the legacy of everything. It just didn't really do it for me, but thank you, man. Look, I'll call out bullshit when I see it. You guys know me well enough to know at this point that I'll do it. And I don't care. I do not care about angering people anymore, man. I wish I did. I wish I could give a shit, but I don't. If you're a dick, I'm going to say something. And I think if I'm a dick, say something. I think that's how it works out. But anyway, thank you for that. Garrick here for 5 bones. Thank you. Says, would you rather have Cameron direct a Marvel or DC movie? Imagining him doing Green Lantern. I would rather him do a DC movie. I would rather James Cameron tackle a DC movie. And the reason why I say that is because I do think he could do Marvel well. But Marvel has such a very distinct style at this point, a very homogenized style, for better or for worse, that a lot of people out there are probably not really going to care much for. And so I think seeing Cameron tackle that to kind of shoehorn Cameron, do you really want to shoehorn James Cameron? No, you don't. Does he make popcorn movies? Absolutely. But like they fit within his mold. You know, the thing is Marvel tried to let Chloe Zhao do that and it kind of failed pretty spectacularly with Eternals. They let Taika Waititi do that. There were some problems with Thor: Love and Thunder. They let Ryan Coogler do that. And there's been some issues with Black Panther in regards to like some of the longevity of it. I think like when Marvel works best when it has an idea for where it wants to go and it sticks to it. Cameron would want to go do his own thing. He's not in a position with Marvel to do his own thing. They would absolutely not let him do it. But going over to do a DC movie, imagine him doing Green Lantern. That would be fucking wild. The technology would be insane. it would be like a $400 million budgeted Green Lantern movie. That who knows if it could live up to the expectations. I have no freaking idea. But I think he would be better off tackling something that had to do a lot with family, or about like if there was fate involved or something. I could see him really doing an Aquaman movie. I know that's a joke from the first couple seasons of Entourage, but it's kind of true. He's very environmentalist in his approach to stuff. And I think that's kind of part of it there. You know what? He could do a Hulk movie. I could see him doing a Hulk movie, Roman. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. I could absolutely see that. So, Gary here says, have you seen The Whale? It's my most anticipated movie this month. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. It's not playing where I'm at. It won't be one that I probably will see until it hits on videos. That's just kind of where I'm at with stuff right now. I just can't get to the theater as often as I would like to. And, so that's kind of just where we find ourselves. So, Fandom NSL is asking thoughts on the Spider-Verse trailer. Well, we did talk about it at the start of the stream. I played the whole trailer. We did talk about it. And it's definitely awesome. I really liked it. It didn't wow me on the story side of things, but it did establish tone, which is okay with me. Also, guys, we got 126 people watching, only 37 likes. Let's fucking go. 50 likes. We can do it. Only needed was 13 more. Also, because I always seem to forget to post this there. If you guys haven't already, check out the Discord. It is growing with new people and everything else. It's always a good time on that one. Check it out. There's a Discord. Link is pinned and everything. Spherical Manor says Willow was getting good. Here's the thing with that. I kind of forgot that Willow was out. I kind of forgot that it's crazy, right? That I forgot that it's out. I need to watch it. Like I'm sure that it's going good, but I mean, like, no one is talking about it, right? Like, so far, no one is talking about Willow. And that to me is kind of weird. That to me is a little bit on the weird side. But I do really want to see it. And I don't know why. It's just like, I feel, well, you know what it is? Like these last couple of weeks have been like really crazy. So I just like haven't had the time, right? Like, I mean, I still try to find time to like play some video games. Like I just finished up Ghost Recon Wildlands, and then I downloaded No Man's Sky because that's on Xbox Games Pass. And I haven't played like it in the last couple years. So like the updates are insane and the game feels totally different because I had it at launch back in 2016. So I'm just kind of enjoying like dicking around in that. But then we also tonight have the Witcher update, the new next gen Witcher update. So I re-downloaded The Witcher 3 as well. So I could finally go in and complete that game because it's been 7 years and I haven't fucking beat the goddamn thing. So there's that. Anyway, yeah, Garrick here says the chuds are saying Willow is woke. I don't understand how Willow is woke. I don't know. Is it Aaron Kellyman? Isn't it right? They're like, oh no, it's an indigenous woman, a colored woman, right? And this, she's a woman of color. We can't have that in our fantasy. It's so ridiculous. So nonsensical. All right, tonight's episode 4. Yeah, I'll start giving it a watch. Ralph Stubbletits brings up that the High on Life game just came out as well. I hear it's really good. That's also on Xbox Games Pass. Rational here says get the Terminator Resistance game. It's not on Xbox Games Pass, dude. It's not an Xbox. I hate to say it. Like I have to watch how much money I got. Thank you. Oh my God, H-Barts. I just ordered you a Rocky collection in Downton Abbey 2 for Christmas. It'll be your P.O. box. You son of a bitch. You're going to fucking guilt me into watching Rocky. I do need to watch Downton Abbey too. So thank you for that, H-Barts. I do need to watch those. Yes. I will give it the college try. I'll give it the college try. Do I have to, which is the bad Rocky? Is it like number 4 or number 5? That's bad. There's that. You'll send me a code for it. Okay. Well, on Xbox, if you got it on Xbox, that'd be great. Thank you, H-Barts, by the way. Appreciate that. Garrick here says, did you know Cameron was going to direct Spider-Man movie with DiCaprio as Peter and Schwarzenegger as Doc Ock? I did hear that. Yeah. That might be a fun one to kind of dive into. That one might be kind of fun to dive into. I do need to talk about some of that. One of the things I've been working on with the Podio commentary is trying to find like a nice mix of history and commentary and review in a fun way like this. So if you enjoyed this, because we've been on for an hour now, if you enjoyed this kind of like very quick, very fast paced approach to it, then let me know if you guys like this. It's a little bit more condensed tonight. It's leaner. I actually like have a script that I was pulling from. I was late tonight because I was trying to build up the PowerPoint to give some visuals. Otherwise, it just wouldn't have any visuals. So there's that. But thank you everyone for watching here as well. Peter Rabbit's Defender with another $10, man. Thank you again, dude, so much. Says Eric Weber is very close to Scott Mendelson. So much. That is why he is the way he is. I felt bad for Scott Menzel for being close to Eric Weber. Menzel is such a nice person. Eric Weber is a pretentious D-bag though. Now, okay, Scott, are you talking about Scott Mendelson and Scott Menzel? Because they're two different people. Scott Mendelson was the guy who wrote for Forbes. He's the douche. No one likes him. Scott Menzel is a writer. He was the Hollywood Critics Association guy. That's been a whole mess of a situation from my understanding. There's been like a lot of like accusations of theft or things like that. Craziness going on in that world. I've only caught a little bit of it here and there. I don't live and operate in LA anymore. So that kind of like interjournalistic conflict is not necessarily something that I prescribe to, but I have kind of heard of it. And yeah, man, look, the thing is, it's like, someone had commented today on that post on Twitter about Eric Weber. Like, why did he get to where he's at? Why is it he was able to get the access that he's able to get? Like, how did he get in this position? And the thing is, you kind of work your way in, but it's kind of like, look, Eric Weber is kind of like Louis Lecca on that front, right? Where Louis and Eric, you can tell, are kind of the same way. They want more recognition than what they've been granted. Now, is it because they don't play the game? You know what? Maybe to an extent. Like, Eric is too abrasive. Louis is too limp-wristed. He doesn't have the chutzpah to actually like go for what he wants. Like, the only reason this is 100% true, I've mentioned this before. It's been 3 years. I'll mention it again. The only reason why J.J. Abrams talked about the Fandom Menace in that Entertainment Weekly interview from back in the winter of 2019 was because Louis Lecca emailed Bad Robot, I'm not kidding you, and complained about the fact that all of these rumors and lies were spreading up on YouTube and on social media about fucking The Rise of Skywalker, and that they had said nothing. And then Bad Robot invited Louis to go to a press event for The Rise of Skywalker, and they had kind of like floated the idea that he would have the chance to meet with JJ. And he didn't get the chance to meet with JJ, but he did go to the world premiere on Hollywood Boulevard for it. But yes, the reason why JJ Abrams mentioned the Fandom Menace in that interview was because Louis Lecca narked them out to Bad Robot directly. I'm not making that up. That actually happened. But again, what it boils down to here is that people like Eric Weber, they feel like they're entitled. If you go back and you go look at his, we watched this last night on the stream. There was a whole bit there about how Eric Weber was like bitching about how Eric Davis has never destroyed a movie with a tweet, right? And he was proud of that. You've never destroyed a movie with a tweet, bro. Like, yeah, who the fuck are you to destroy a movie with a tweet? You bloviating gas bag, right? I mean, like, what the fuck? Imagine that is your thing. That is your entire approach to it. Is like, you never destroyed a movie, bro. What? Who fucking cares? All right? Like, who fucking cares? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't like, it's so, fuck my God, man. That's what I'm talking about. Spherical Man here says, oh, look, such a fast-paced stream. There was no time for semen. There's always time for semen, sir. Let's see. Prodos here says Louis doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't. He just needs to retire. He does. He's absolutely the bag holder for Andy Signore, who, by the way, funny thing with that one. All right, a little bit of an update on this one, and then I'm gonna wrap it up because it is 11, and I'm gonna go to bed. One of the things is I was sent this today on Twitter. So Andy is we talked about this the other day. Where there was the article about Andy Signore, and over there on NBC News, and I was interviewed for it like 4 months ago, and then Andy has been like furiously trying to like deflect. So what he's doing is, because I was publicly named in the interview, he's trying to go back through to my past. We all know I've made mistakes. Obviously there's the polar bear thing, but he's bringing that up again. Never mind, that turns 10 years old, like in 2 weeks, but he's bringing that up again. And he's trying to use it on stream as a way to be like, don't listen to this guy. He doesn't fucking know me. He doesn't, he's just a racist. But yet, if you go back a couple years, I was on Popcorn Planet multiple times. Andy was on my stream multiple times. We were on like Louis Lecca streams multiple times. Like there's it's funny. He's so desperate to try to keep people away from realizing how much of a dirty piece of shit he is, that's what he's going for. And what's hysterical about it is I don't give a shit, because I have no say in what happens next. I just think I have to reiterate that point. Whatever happens next, whatever woman comes forward, whatever person says whatever details get leaked, whether they are audio, visual, or other, I have no say in any of it. I'm not planning nothing. There's no op on my end, but I find it to be so funny that the mere mention of me in that article scares the living shit out of Mr. Masturbator. That to me is pretty hysterical. Mo has become another member. Did he, did you re-up, Mo? Let me see. It's going to catch up here in a second, but thank you very much for that, buddy. Really do appreciate that. It is always, good to have that. Again, talking about the member stuff. I don't know what we're going to watch. Maybe something quick, maybe something on Tubi or something on Netflix or whatever. We'll watch them together, and everything else. All right. Galiad here says you and Weber should do a matchup. What exactly would we match up? I'd like to think I'd probably fucking destroy him, because I don't give a shit, but this thing is funny, but it would be okay. Galier says it would break film Twitter. I will set it up. You know what? Fine. He blocked me, but I would definitely have him. I would definitely have it. 100%. Yes. If you can set it up, fine. If you can set it up, I'm game. I'm 100% game. You got to set it up though. Rational asking, why are you the boogeyman to Andy? Because I know him. That's why I'm the boogeyman, Rational. That's why I'm the boogeyman, because I know who he is. I know who he is. I know him. And that's what he's most fearful of. People who know who he is and they aren't afraid. I'm not a chick that you can fucking bully into silence. Better people have tried to bully my ass into silence. I don't give a fuck. I will do and say what I feel I need to do and say. Everyone here knows that about me. So that's why, because he can't bully me around. That's why I scare him. But thank you though. Peter Abbott here for 5. Thanks, buddy. He says, let's be honest. Who's the worst? Blandy, Pignor, Eric Weber, or Sill? These assholes have the same agenda, that is for them to get as much attention as humanly possible. Well, okay. So let's actually break that down real quick, and then we're going to wind out the night. So, Blandy Andy, right? Mr. Pignor, he feels slighted by what happened to him 5 years ago. So he feels entitled to, behaving the way that he does. And he feels that because he was able to get away with the sexual assault allegation a couple years back, that it's going to allow for enough of a deflection from any of the other actual things that have come forward. All right. So he's just disgusting because he uses everybody who's around him. Eric Weber and Sill are more aligned. But the thing is, though, Eric Weber is a person who simply just wants attention. They want to be known as a tastemaker. All right. Andy doesn't want to be a tastemaker. Andy just wants the money. But Eric wants to have a seat at the table. He's very similar to the Fandom Menace like that. He's the kind of guy that's like, you can't destroy a movie in a single tweet, bro. Like what kind of meathead fucking shit is that? All right. Oh, thank you, Mo, for upgrading to Prime. Appreciate that. It didn't load for me, but thank you for upgrading to Prime. Really appreciate that. Sill is the kind of guy who wants to have a seat at the table, but also really, really, really wants to be important. That's the difference, though. Sill wants to be important in the movie scoop game because in his mind, it will give him value. It will justify all the years that he's been doing this. That's what he wants. And it also allows him to feel power in his particular little cult community. Andy is the same way on that. Andy feels power above those women, which is why he has done the things that he's been accused of. All right. Or they're the things that he's been accused of. In regards to the power dynamic, Syl also holds the power dynamic. It's very interesting when you start breaking it down, just who these people are and ultimately how shitty they are. So thank you here. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Okay. Movie should be here by the 20th. Thank you. I can watch them over Christmas. I will promise to watch the first Rocky. I will promise to watch the first Rocky. Anyway, Blockadil says, Matt, don't care. I actually care quite a bit. That's the difference, Blockadil. I actually care, or I don't scare, but I care. I don't scare, but I care. Ryan here. Yeah. The Discord link is up to date. It should be up to date. If you guys are clicking on it, it's definitely, people are still joining the server. We had a couple new joins yesterday. So, it is definitely up to date, but thank you for checking on that. If it's not, let me know. I will update it, but it should be. So, let's see. Tony here, or Andy. Yeah, Tony says, Andy found out how to play the victim because he was one. Yeah. I mean, that's once you can tap into that emotional, if you read the article, I talked about that in the article, right? Once you tap into that emotionality, it's a different thing. So there's all that. Music Man here says, thank you. Finally watching Rocky. So we have bullied somebody into watching Rocky. Roman asking, is the new Pinocchio on Netflix? It is. I hear it's really good. I've only seen the ending of it because my kids are watching it, but I got to see the rest of it there. All right, guys. On that note, it is time to call it a night. It's been a fun, fast episode of Hollywood After Dark. As always, I really appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out tonight. If you liked this fast-paced, lack of semen conversation, let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you're new. Hang out for tomorrow night's episode. I'll talk to you all later. Have a great one, guys, and peace the fuck out.